So let's fast forward.
There's the blinds again, so we can skip past that one.
Okay, so let's go to the first pot that I won. It looks like I'm in position on the cutoff.
So share.
I've got ace queen. I've made a standard raise to 504.
When is a raise to 504 ever standard?
Right. At 100, 200, I try to make raises slightly less than 3 times the big blind. Mostly because of his stack size. If he had more chips, I'd probably make 3 times or maybe even 3.5 times, because I want to create a big enough pot pre-flop so that me and him can get all in if I flop like a huge monster flop like Broadway, ace 5, ace queen 4. But with this guy's stack size, I'm not sure what he's quite defending with here with such a small stack size that he's not re-raising me with. But anyway, the flop came out 8-4 deuce and he's checked. Now here's an interesting spot. It's a spot where I've obviously checked, I've just paused this, that I would bet, let's say, 80% of the time and check 20% of the time. But going back to our earlier point, I've got a lot of showdown value with ace queen. So, maybe I was thinking at the time that he was going to check raise me on such a dry board. Obviously this flop misses a raiser a ton of the time, and he's probably going to check raise me. So I just check behind just to try and get my hand to showdown. The 4 pairs, so the board hasn't changed, so we've gone check again, and it looks like I'm happy to get this hand to showdown. I think by this point he would be betting an 8. He might try and trap a 4 if he's got one, but he's called a raise with a 4 in his hand. If he's got a deuce, has he really called a raise with a deuce in his hand? I think he might just have Broadway, 2 kind of picture cards. River has a 5. He checks again. Now I do something quite unusual. I bet 700 into a pot of about 1300. I bet half the pot. As strange as this may seem, I'm not bluffing here in my mind. I'm betting this for value. I'm betting this for him to try and call me with a worse ace. I don't think he's ever checking a 4 on the river. The only hand that I might lose to would be pocket 6s or pocket 7s, but I think he's going to bet the river. And on the river, I mean, it sounds strange, but I think I've got the best hand, and I'm actually betting hoping to get called. I'm not betting here as a bluff. Anyway, he folds.
What do you do if he plays back it on the river there, Nick?
Sorry, just to pause it again.
So you bet 700
into about
1200. It was 1208 pot.
Yeah.
He now makes it 2300.
I probably have to, get up and start clapping and give the man his dues for outplaying me. I'm probably not going to call him. I mean, I might call him, but it's like I'm only beating a stone cold bluff, and what hand can he play that way to check raise the river?
So why
quad 4s? Quad 4s would make a lot of sense.
So how many times is a weaker ace going to call you in that spot?
In a 6 max game, more than you think. If it was a 9 max game, I might not go. They're called value bets on the river, or in any street for that matter, and I think this is what we call a thin value bet by me. But I genuinely believed I had the best hand on the river and bet it. If he check raised me, then I'd probably end up folding. But for someone to play check on the flop, check on the turn, and check the river, and then go for a river check raise is really unusual. So I just decided I had the best hand. And I think this is something I've learned, from playing cash games, is that when you do feel you have the best hand, you should bet, because you'll be surprised with what people can call you with. I mean, it looks like the way I've played that ace queen hand that I had nothing as well. He might call me with ace 10 there, thinking ace high is good. Right, I've raised ace queen under the gun. Right, I'm pausing it here. I don't know what I've actually done. Again, it's a very, very dry board. Has he called my raise with a deuce? What do you think I'm going to do here? I've got backdoor spades. I've got the nut no pair, right? If he doesn't have a pair in his hand, I've got the best hand.
Second nut no pair.
The second nut.
But you think you're going to get reaction, a re-raise from him with ace king?
Yeah, I think if he's got ace king, he's probably letting me find out about it before the flop. Well, the last time I checked it,
you got a bet now, haven't you?
I think I might bet. I've checked behind again, so again I said I would bet 80% of the time and check 20% of the time. It looks like I've gone for 2 20%. Right, and I've decided to play the hand quite passively. I mean, he can bet all of his range here. I don't like the way I've really played that hand. I've kind of not taken control and initiative post-flop, and I've just let him have it. But right, what do you think I'm doing? The button's raised to 600, which is a very standard raise, 3 times.
Well, I can see the tile down the bottom is green, so you know, I think
you can't cheat by doing that, Barry. Please.
you're going to win the pot.
I'm going to win the pot. What would you like? Re-raising here or calling? Or
me?
I don't think folding's correct.
I don't like fold. Not in a 6-max game. Do you really want to be seeing a flop with pocket threes? Are you gonna stop and go this with threes? Are you going to flat call and then bet any flop?
Well, I tend to check to the razor a lot. I mean, you know, obviously pocket threes out of position are quite a difficult hand to play, given the fact that, you know, you just need to flop a set with it most of the time. But there is something called the 5-10 rule. I am getting set odds here, assuming he's raised with, you know, a genuine hand. I've got to call 400 more. The 5-10 rule is something where if someone raises, let's say you've got pocket fives and you're in a 9-handed tournament and someone raises under the gun and you figure them for like a really big hand because they've been so tight, you can call all the time if it's 5% of your stack or the effective stack, which might be their stack if you have them covered, for example, to flop a set. Because if you've got pocket fives and the board comes 9-5 deuce and they've got aces or kings, you're probably going to play a very big profitable pot in your favour. When calling pre-flop, i.e. the amount they've raised, starts to equate to 10% of the effective stack, like I said, either your stack or if you've got them covered, their stack, then if it's closer to 10%, then you need to basically double up. So a lot of the time, you know, these are very, very common hands in tournaments, how to play small pairs. We're so very deep at the moment, like, what are the effective stats? I've got to call 400 out of this 14,000, yeah? So it's like, how many percent is that?
You're getting quite a good... It's a much lower than the figures that you quoted, so...
Yeah, so, you know, this is like, I don't know, 2.5, should I just guess? I'm not doing the... I know that I've definitely got set odds to play. I'm probably just going to call. Now, here's an interesting flop. He's definitely going to represent this board. It's a very dry, you know, relatively unconnected...
But if he flopped anything big, if he's got ace-king in this spot, would he really want to be betting this?
This is interesting. I mean... You know, we've been on the table for quite a while.
It's not exactly draw heavy, is it, this board?
It's not draw heavy, but this is the thing, you know. There's 1,300 in the pot. If he has got ace-king, he might want to try and get a lot of chips in. Now, if he does check behind, he's only going to be able to get money in on the turn and on the river. So if it goes, I check and he checks, there's going to be 1,300. Then I check again, for sake of example. He'll then bet like 900, and I will call. Let's say, imagine I did, so there'll be 1,800 plus 1,300, be 3,100 in there, and on the river he can only bet like 3,100. So he's only going to get with ace king a relatively small percentage. I think in a 6-max tournament you might want to be bold with ace king here and go for 3 streets of value, i.e. I check bet the flop, I check bet the turn, I check bet the river, you know. Now I led. I don't know, it's something that I started doing. I don't, like I said to you before, I can't even remember the replay. This is quite good. I said, yeah, I'm probably going to check here. Well, I ended up leading out. Here's the thing, like, whether I've played my hand in the most profitable way, I'm not sure. I've made my hand very easy to play. And sometimes you want to find a balance in poker between making the most profitable play and making your hand as easy to play as possible. I've made my hand really, really easy to play. I've led out, and if I get any action, I'm basically done with the hand.
Yeah.
However, a lot of the time, if I check to him, he's got 2 cards that he's decided to raise with on the button. He's got, you know, Jack 10 of clubs, a hand that he will definitely open on the button. And if I check to him on this board, he will try and represent the picture card.